Hello and welcome to the next episode of Circular Insights. I'm your host, Lijin Chin from Circular Business Association, and I'm really happy to be joined with this guest that we have today, Mr. Christian Listérus, co-founder and CEO of Lingon Certificates that's based in Stockholm, Sweden. So Lingon Certificates is a company that is creating and using digital certificates for proof of traceability, authenticity, and customer engagement. It's secured on blockchain and it's accessible and useful for everyone in virtually any creative project. Now, that's a lot of big words already right in the first start. So this episode, we're really going to be diving into this whole thing of what digital product passports are and how these digital certificates that Lingon is pursuing is actually going to be so useful for us to drive changes in our systems so that we can ultimately solve this sustainability challenge we face today, be it in climate change or even pollution, etc. So welcome, Christian, and thank you for joining our show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here, joining your show and talking to all your listeners and the community. Really exciting and fantastic that were able to pronounce my name so fantastic.
I try, Kristen. Thank you very much for those kind words. In any case, let's just get straight into that topic. In terms of like, what is this pain that you're solving? I know I mentioned the big words of like digital product passports, and among our listeners, there are probably some people who are not very familiar with these terms. So maybe you can start off there to explain what it is and also what is that pain you're solving.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, we have a common pain, and it's the global waste and the negative climate impact that is happening, and this is primarily because producing companies today they are operating in a produce, sell, silence model. They produce, they sell through channels, then they usually don't know where the products end up. So there is a total data disconnect, and this is ending up in a massive waste of material and a negative climate footprint, and it's also ending up in lost business opportunities. So with the digital product passport, applied in the right way, we think we can contribute to solving these problems basically. So it's both better business and a better climate at the end.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking that about this pain whereby the product actually
Mm.
gets sold and then nobody actually knows where it goes, right? And it sort of
Yeah.
is on both sides of the coin as
Mm,
well. I'm just
mm,
thinking
mm,
of it from a perspective of a consumer as well. Very
mm,
often when something in the product actually goes
mm,
wrong or I don't know
mm,
what to do with it when it's reached the end of its life, some question that pops up in my mind is like, surely the manufacturer would be able to take it back, right? Or surely the
mm,
manufacturer would have this particular part in order to make it
mm,
useful again. And then I realized, oh no, they
mm,
don't actually, because the sales agent has just
mm,
sold it to me.
mm,
And actually nobody knows that the product is with me or wants
mm,
can deal with it. So it's amazing that now you're talking about how that lack of data is
mm.
is actually very deliberate, like sort of like it stops people from pursuing more things.
Yeah, I mean, there is no feedback loop. So there is no signal coming back. It's a very one-sided communication in a way. I mean, when you and I, when we have this conversation, it goes both ways and we reflect. When a producer produces a product and ships it to the market, it's a very one-sided and one directional action. So imagine if you would give your products a voice and if consumers could start interacting with the products, talk to them, get answers back, that would lead to fantastic new possibilities. First of all, you could establish trustful relationships between brands and their users, and the users could learn how to behave in a more circular way, and how they could benefit from doing that. And the producer could play an active role in allowing refurbishment, selling spare parts. Uh, there are a lot of business opportunities connected to helping people to have a more sustainable approach. Uh, so we're going deeper into that later in this conversation, I guess. But we are focusing right now on the furniture industry, and furniture can outlive the owner. I mean, good quality furniture can live for 100 years. So imagine if you could interact with any owner that holds that piece of furniture over 100 years, and you can create business on the same piece over and over again by helping the owner to take care of its product, uh, helping it, giving it a new life, maybe a new textile cover or new legs or whatever it could be, and so it's basically about interacting in a way that is good for the environment, but also a quality aspect, and helping people enjoying their products more, and taking this urge to replace old things with new things all the time, uh, while still maintaining a good business ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Those few points that you actually raised there are some that
Uh,
really like popped out for me was when you were saying that it's almost like a one-directional conversation that's happening, right? It's like you're
yeah,
in a
yeah,
relationship with someone and they talk at you, they don't talk with you. And that's actually really difficult to actually build
yeah.
more trust or even build that closeness. And that's where a lot of brands actually miss out,
Mm,
building that opportunity with their clients. So that's
mm,
almost like very close to what we know of the linear economy, whereby it
mhm.
just goes one direction and there's hardly
Exactly.
any feedback loop. And when you were talking about, that when we want to enable, let's say, repair or refurbishment, or to
Mm,
give that life again to those pieces of, let's say, furniture that outlive
mm,
people,
mm, mm,
really what we're talking about here is the circular economy. Even to circulate, you do need lots of feedback. And in
mm,
nature, you can see those feedback happening um, all over the place every
mhm,
time, and even in ways that we never even thought they would interact.
mm,
And it's amazing that now our human civilization has reached a point where we have that type of technology that can
mhm.
enable and cope with that amount of feedback that's needed for a circular system to exist.
Exactly. You're getting it. You're nailing it. And what is also interesting, of course, and I mean, this is a direct consequence of the feedback loop, is that manufacturers will also be able to understand how their products are being used, how they are being worn out, so they can improve the design. They can work on their products to become more, qualitative, and better fit into people's lives and life situations. So that kind of, yeah, that aspect is also driving this, of course, in especially in furniture companies. They are driven by the urge to create design that is, a quality for the eye, quality that, that stands the test of time, uh,
Mm,
also for
mm.
the eyes. So, and also, you know that last products that last. So you need that feedback. You need to understand how products are being used to be able to get there.
And I
Yeah.
also really like that another point that
Mm,
you brought up about like this ability, therefore, with that feedback, to
mm,
then allow a piece or a product to actually again and again generate that revenue or that sort of
mm,
income. I think one of the
mhm,
conflict that a lot of people actually, have with the concept of circular economy is that if we created like good quality products that
mm.
outlasted the time and outlasted even our lives, then how would I make money from it? Right? Because
Exactly.
the way we make money today is like I
Mm,
sell, then I get my
mm,
money. I don't sell,
mm,
I don't get my
mm.
money. So
Yeah.
therefore, it creates this conflict when you say we're
Mm,
going to create great quality products
mm,
that can
mm,
last a long time. The
mm.
question always emerges of how would businesses make money from that? And
Exactly.
what you're saying is that the data can help you.
The
How
data
did
can
it?
help you. The data is crucial, and I mean, in the digital industries, we know that we know how we can improve through insights and real-time analytics. In many producing industries, there is nothing like that. It's, most producing industries are very analog and they don't have this data, so it's very difficult to kind of make that strategic move. Um, so it helps you in relation to your end users and to create new business models out of that. But it also helps you in relation to your suppliers and sub-suppliers, because even in that direction upstream, there is a very low visibility today. Most producers, they know their tier one suppliers or maybe tier two, but in many situations you have like seven or eight or nine, or in the car industry, automotive industry, you have like 19 or 20 tiers of suppliers, and there is a very low visibility into the supply chain, and that affects your capabilities. It ties up money, and it reduces your abilities to make smart sourcing decisions. So the more data you have, the more connections you have, and ability, the better ability you have to understand your supply network, uh, the more efficient you can become. And that can be cost savings, that can be smarter sourcing, can be more sustainable sourcing. It can be a competitive factor in that as well, that you are able to produce products that consumers really want because you can make the right choices in your sourcing. So it goes in two directions. It goes, it's very much about interacting with your customers, but also to understand how you can improve your sourcing. So data is crucial here, and there's a total data disconnect today in many producing industries.
And when you mean sort of sustainable sourcing, we're not just talking about sustainable that's good for the environment. We're also
Mm.
talking about the risks of certain inputs not being able to like continuously get to your manufacturing or production plants, right? Especially
Exactly.
yeah, especially in this situation where the
Mm,
climate effects are
mm,
already kicking in, it's likely
mm,
to get worse. For businesses that really
mm,
rely on certain input materials in order to produce the product that can generate value
mhm,
for their business becomes a key sort of risk factor they need to manage, but you can't
mm,
manage it if you can't see it. And this is where that data, in terms of providing you that feedback from even the sourcing part of it, becomes very important. And then when you take it deeper, if I understand you correctly, it would be that it's not just about the input material, but it's also about who handles these materials as they go through the different stages of production until finally you have your final product.
exactly. So yeah, 100%, everything you said. And another aspect is also, especially now in this, when we have all these geopolitical uncertainties, you can face a lot of supply chain disruptions, um, and disturbances. And if you have a better visibility into your supply network, and if you can take alternative routes, and you can change quickly, you can be much more agile and more resilient to face these kind of challenges. So yeah, there are many aspects to it. And I think this is very important, both from an environmental perspective, but also from a business perspective.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing. And
Yeah.
and just wondering, like when you were also talking about, these pieces that can last a long time, something that popped up in my mind as well, especially since blockchain is something that is being used by Lingon certificates in your services, the product
Mm,
that you're providing. Um, is this whole issue of transferring of ownership as well, right? So
mm,
in as you said, it's very analog for a lot of producing companies. And why
mm.
would that sort of ability now to be able to know that transfer of ownership be important in terms of for businesses to capture these untapped parts of the revenue?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I understand your question as why is blockchain, an interesting technology in this context.
Mm.
Did I understand you correctly?
Yeah, how blockchain and is enabling that transfer
Uh,
of ownership.
yeah.
And with that transfer of ownership, therefore, how does it add value? Let's say if I were a producer or a
Mm,
manufacturer of those pieces.
mm. Yeah. So transfer of ownership is one part of it. It's actually only one, piece of this. What is more interesting with, you know, so yeah, I mean, you're pointing at the blockchain technology here. So let me just explain how it comes into the picture.
Yes.
So blockchain technology was actually, what triggered me at the beginning when we started the company in 2018. Uh, and it was because of, the embedded traits of the technology that, that enable a proof of authenticity, proof of ownership, and all of that. It added like the trust factor to the internet that you didn't have before. So that was really amazing and interesting. And when you look into digital product passports, the whole idea of these passports are to improve transparency. Uh, it's about enabling consumers to take more informed and sustainable decision. And for this to happen, trust and traceability are key and essential for that to happen. Uh, and it's also a complex relationship between producers, their suppliers, and so on. So it's a shared responsibility to get there, and it's also a question of shared accountability between stakeholders in the value chain. So you need some technology where several parties can collaborate in, achieving this greater goal. And for that purpose, a decentralized data infrastructure is really key. Um, because the blockchain is ideally suited for, tracking events and transactions. So it can be, ownership transactions, but it can also be, events like, a product has been moved from this and, from this actor to the next actor, or, this happened at this situation. So here there was a refurbishment happening. Uh, you know, any event that happens throughout a product's life cycle is an event that can be tracked on the blockchain, and it's data that can be read by anyone. Um, and over a long period of time, even if the company that provides the product is going bankrupt, disappearing from the market, or if Lingon is disappearing from the market, the data is still there, and it's immutable data. It's data that can't be altered and modified and changed and played around with. So that's the trust factor. That's the ability to see, okay, uh, this is a good product. This is a bad product. I can see, this product had, this product has been taken care of. There has been a good thought behind this product. It's a good sourcing, and this is, of course, a great value for end users. And when it comes to transfer of ownership that you specifically addressed, it's a new level of control to understand how many owners have been there before, and it gives you some understanding of what the product has been through. So depending on what kind of product category, this can be more or less relevant with the change of ownership. So not in every case you have to transfer ownership. A digital product passport can go with a product without transferring ownership.
Right. Thanks
Mhm.
so much for that explanation. I think for the audience who are quite new to blockchain, I think that would be really useful to envision how it can be
Mhm.
utilized in this case. There were two things that really jumped out as me as you were explaining just now. One of it was when you were talking about, having that whole digital passport going together with the product, even if there's no transfer of ownership, and then
Mhm.
linking back to what you were saying that some of these, let's say, furniture pieces can last for hundreds of years. And
Mhm.
how do you actually continuously gain from that same piece? It just made me think of that other part of the application of blockchain, which is to actually, for certain pieces, you can break them up into really, really small um, bits, and then you
Mhm.
own just that bit. So you could own a
Mm.
piece of the Mona Lisa as a piece of
Mhm.
artwork,
Mm.
right? So
Mhm.
imagine if, let's say, there were certain key pieces of, let's say, furniture,
Mm.
which we do see, let's say, in museums or in
Mm.
these big stately houses or things like that,
Mm.
that people could actually proactively own a piece of those furniture and then
Mm.
therefore interact with it to either ensure that piece of furniture continues to play a functional role, or that
Mhm.
it is a way that the owner can utilize that to generate some consistent revenues to upkeep whatever activities that's needed.
Yeah, it's an appealing idea, and yeah, sure. I mean, there are so many different. I mean, only the creativity sets the limits for what's possible here, and uh, there's so many different application areas. And actually, where we're coming from, when we started this company, we didn't do what now is called digital product passports. We did um, certificates of authenticity for art. And that's how we started, because there was a different. There was another problem that we tried to solve, and that was photography art, fine photo art. And we had this hypothetical question, or this kind of cheeky question. So if I'm a photographer and I have a digital file of my original work, how can I prove that this particular digital file is the original one? Uh, and that's how it all started. It quickly turned into, so what if I do a photo print of this, uh, world famous, piece of art? Anyone can do a photo print. How do I prove that this particular print is the original print? Or maybe it's a limited edition of 100 or 10 prints. How can I be sure that there is not 100 and one pieces, or it's so easy to kind of make another copy. So here it was important to find a technology that could support uh, that proof of authenticity. It also opened up for many new interesting aspects, because if you have that proof of of authenticity, that certification is actually more valuable than the print itself, because the print can break, and you could come back and say, I actually own the original one, so can you make a new print to me? Because the print is a print. It's not a painting where someone has painted on that particular piece of paper. It's just a print. So yeah, you know there are many business aspects in this that are very interesting. Also, like you mentioned, the ability or the possibility to own, to tokenize objects, and share the ownership of something very expensive and so on. But with the digital product passport, we've passed that stage. We're now into something that is industrial scale, something that will go into every product that's being produced. And this is not something that we have envisioned, or something that is our idea. This is an initiative that is driven by the European Commission. It's also driven by consumer demand in other economies like the US. And I also know that there are a lot of initiatives in the Asian Pacific region. Sometimes it's regulation that's driving this. Sometimes it's the consumer demand. I know in the health industry, medication, drugs are being uh, distributed in many different ways. In certain countries, you don't get the original box and package when you receive your medication. So how can you be sure that this is legit stuff? And there are so many different reasons why a digital product passport is going to happen, and will happen, and has already happened. And that goes beyond these kind of speculative aspects that were in the early days of blockchain with NFTs and so on. I'm not saying that NFTs and all that tokenization economy is not relevant, because it is. It's a big, it's a huge thing. It's a great innovation, and it's very democratic. So people can share ownership of things and be part of something bigger, and you can establish communities around things, and you can find new business models around that. But as a company, we've left that space and entered into this industrial space where we believe we can accomplish more impact for
Mm.
society and for humanity.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that part of that journey as well. I really jump in and ask that question. So what changed? Why did you switch into, the digital product passports of it? And it just came out so naturally. Now, just for the benefit of the audience who may not be so sure that there is the difference between the certificate and the passport. If I
Yeah.
understand you correctly, the certificate is sort of looking at that proof of that ownership for, let's say, the stuff, the key content that is legit, right? It's legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh.
when we talk about product passports, actually goes another step even deeper, which is also what we covered in the beginning, to say that it's all the different people that's involved within it. It's all the different inputs that came into it. So it also includes things like what is those material that goes into that part of that product in the first place, right? So it's almost like the recipe book is in there as well. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a very good question, and I know it's very confusing. Uh, yeah, so people talk about digital twins, about product passports, about NFTs, about certificates. So how does this all come together? Uh, so we like to talk about the product certificate that can incorporate a digital product passport to make it even more confusing.
Enlighten us.
Yeah, so at the end, I mean, this is we're talking about a digital representation of, some object. Theoretically, could be another digital object, but it's like a
So
separate.
like this, something, for example, like this.
Yeah, for physical objects, it's very clear. You make a digital representation of it. It could be like a photo of the product and a very description of the product, and something that is digital but that relates very strongly to a specific physical product, like
Mm,
that watch.
mm,
Uh, so that's where it all starts, and we started with a platform that had a kind of free form, so you could take any product, even digital assets, and you could create a certificate of authenticity, and um, where you would need to describe the asset in text, and maybe you want to have a little movie clip or photos and so on, and you can have a lot of different attributes there to describe an object. But then the next layer is the digital product passport, which is something that the European Commission have kind of boxed in and declared as a set of data that describes the uh, what a product constitutes of, which components that are included, what the origin is, which raw materials that are being used, where you have verification of all the underlying certifications. So is this wooden chair, is that wood from a deforested is this wood okay, not from a deforested area, or and so on. Are the electronics okay, or are there poisonous materials in here? Are the colors in the textiles okay? So there are clearly defined data sets for the digital product passport, and it's going to be very unique for every product category in different industries, and they call it delegated acts. I'm not going into all the details, but these delegated acts will define for each product category, what data you need to have, and that's going to be very standardized and very boxed in. And that's what we refer to with the digital product passport, basically. And with that data, the end user can take more informed and sustainable decisions, because they can see, okay, I'm standing in front of two different couches here in the store, and the one costs $1,000 and the other is $2,000, and they look the same, more or less. How can I know, what's the difference, what is good, what is bad, and so on? And with this data, there is a possibility to guide consumers and help them take, good decisions. So that's the purpose of that, and it's going to be very standardized. Above that, you can add a lot of, other relevant data, or even what you typically see on websites and so on. Different ways of interacting, can be AI agents, can be the possibility to put something into a classified ad or whatever, to resell a product. You can add a lot of features and information, whatever you want, on top of that digital product passport to give more life and substance and context to an individual product. I forgot to mention, product passport is on an individual product level. So it's not for a range of products. It's for every unique piece of product. So for every unique product that's being produced, there has to be a product passport. There has to be a QR code or NFC chip on the product that connects to a unique digital representation of that particular individual. And that makes it very contextual. So a user knows when the user interacts with that product, the information is 100% relevant to that very specific configuration or whatever of that product. Um, um,
Yeah, so we're speaking there, it just prompted me to think of all the different product recalls that we've seen across the years, right? So, for example, if let's say there was a specific product that had a particular chemical that was used in, and then later on they found out that that chemical is leaking out from
mhm,
that very physical piece, and it could
mhm,
cause certain health-related effects, then by having the digital passports in place, you would
mhm,
already know exactly how many pieces of that product is out there in which market,
mhm,
and that have this particular chemical inside. And therefore, when you're doing the product recall, you would be able to know how much you've actually been able to capture back, and where
mhm.
else is that sort of dangerous product still out there, right? So both the
Exactly,
consumer
yeah.
can see that, the producer can see that, even the regulators could potentially use that to say that for the health and safety, we need to actually gather back all of this. And producer, now you have that oversight, you should be able to deliver that, which in a way helps
Mm,
also from making sure consumer safety and welfare is protected in
mm,
that sense, because now producers have been enabled to actually call back whatever things and be very clear in the units down to the single units that it can
mm.
actually come back, right? So
100%. So yeah,
wow,
and it's a very
that's
interesting
amazing.
aspect that it's a very interesting aspect that I haven't thought about. Yeah, the ability to collect items and call back items based on certain findings. Uh, um, that's a great use case. That's a fantastic use case. And of course, the whole intention with this is to avoid that we have, that this happens from the onset because of the traceability. So, of course, transparency increases or reduces chances that this will happen, of course. But if it happens, you're right. then you have a tool to trace back and recall in a very efficient way.
It would
And
really explain like why governments would have a stake in, interest in this, because
yeah.
yeah, by having that infrastructure, data infrastructure put in place, it enables them to implement a lot more policies or programs with efficiency compared to now, as you say, it's an analog. Nobody knows actually where it's gone. It's up to people to sort of like self-report in a way.
Yeah, and actually, this is maybe not 100%, similar, but we have some experience in Europe with similar solutions like the digital passport from the past. So we have this energy classification system. Energy, is a system for classifying energy efficiency of household products like refrigerators and other products. Maybe you've seen there are like these color
Star.
schemes where, yeah,
Oh,
stars or whatever, and you can have categories A to F and different colors and so on. So when they introduced this system in Europe, like 80% of the products disappeared from the market because they were not good enough. Because you
wow.
had to reach a certain threshold, quality threshold, energy efficiency threshold to be allowed to sell products on the European market. And a lot of products disappeared because they couldn't fulfill that requirement. And then almost all products were just above the threshold. But then what happened after that was when they introduced this color scheme, was that there a competition on improvement happened. So now companies are competing on being better and more energy efficient because you get a higher rating there on the on this classification. So uh, I think this is the whole idea here as well, to get rid of all the bad products and make sure that the products that are out there will continuously improve. Uh,
Right. So if I'm a business owner now and I'm like worried, oh my gosh, maybe my product will be one of those that will disappear. How can Lingon help?
yeah, so by having very transparent sets of rules and guidelines, as a producer, you can take action and you can understand, okay, I need to do this in order to be compliant. So very early, you can understand, okay, in half a year, in half a year or 2 years or whatever, uh, I can expect my customers to require this from me, or I can expect that my parts to a bigger manufacturer in Europe will not go through customs anymore. So
Mm,
so you will have time to adjust and make sure that you have the right documentation, that you take measures to accomplish what you need to accomplish. And it's not rocket science at the end of the day. One part is documentation, so you can really prove that you're doing good. And it can also be a question of uh, what is your energy source? Are you using fossil source, or you can take decisions, and yes, it will affect the cost maybe, um, or maybe not, depending on what it is. Uh, but there are very clear instructions and guidelines, and Lingon can help producers to understand these guidelines and to check into that, and to deliver that data to the manufacturers further down the value chain, the supply chain.
So, in terms of how Lingon would work with your clients, if I understand you correctly, it'll be to number one, understand which product categories are required to produce these baseline data. That's, as I said,
Uh,
very boxed in the European context, so that they
uh,
meet that compliance. But also because of having that clarity of maybe even other parts of the data that that bring the whole together, you would be able to have more flexibility in making business decisions on whether that is a risk to your business because you are not dealing with it now, and how you can convert it therefore into an opportunity. You have more flexibility in deciding, is this a sourcing related problem, or is it a design thing that my design teams need to be aware of and we need to do something about?
Exactly.
Or is it a business model thing where I'm working with suppliers and downstreams of distributors that don't understand what is this product, and they're doing it completely differently, that creates a problem for my business, right? So by
Yeah.
having that clarity, they and working with Lingon to understand which of their products need to have these major rethinks, it'll become easier by working with you all.
Yeah, exactly. And another great opportunity in this, not a risk, but an opportunity, is if you're, a supplier of parts or components or things that would usually categorize as spare parts, you all of a sudden have a unique opportunity to actually reach out and reach the end user through the passport and enable a direct ordering uh, structure. So of course there will be filters but you may be able to arrange something business wise, make agreements with your customers that if the end users need accessories, that orders can be placed straight through the product passport and shipped directly to the end users. uh, and this is an additional revenue potential, of course, and maybe you need to give a cut to them to the manufacturer that you're supplying your parts to, but still this is something that is not possible today. I mean, if the producer has no clue of where the product is ending up, the sub-suppliers, they have even less understanding of what happens with their parts. And every part is a product in itself that can be, sold, especially if you're providing, a lot of. I know that a lot of Asian producers they sell parts, components that are crucial and essential for products to work. Like in the lighting industry, there are like transformers and other, electronic devices that are important for lamps to work. Uh, so through the passport and through the transparency, there will be opportunities to actually sell directly to end users, to enable end users to um, give their product a new life much more easily. Today, they will throw away the product when it stops working because they won't find the needed spare part. So there are a lot of um, opportunities in here, but of course, as a sub-supplier, you need to take action. You need to understand that this is coming. You need to talk to your, to your value chain, to your customers, and understand, how are they positioned in this? How can this be done together? We like to talk about it as the responsibility chain, which is a kind of way of expressing the combination of shared responsibilities, accountability, and using a blockchain. So it's like a chain of it's a collaborative effort to achieve a systemic change, basically, and it's only possible if everyone is taking their part of the responsibility in this.
I like that how you brought up that term responsibility, because something as you were explaining there, something that popped in my mind is that there are a number of countries already going for extended producer responsibility,
Yeah.
but they can't actually really do extended producer responsibility and
Mm,
profit from it if you don't have this data infrastructure in place. And
mm,
when we look at extended producer responsibility today, at least in the
mm,
context of Southeast Asia, it's very
mm,
much like it's at the end of the pipe, and then I have to spend money in order to make sure whatever product pollution out there, it doesn't happen. But what we're saying is that it moves beyond that. With digital product passports, you have that possibility of converting that cost into something that could generate value for the business, be it a new type of revenue where you're directly selling the parts to clients. You could even do predictive type of maintenance where you're saying, that part is about due to be replaced before, things get disrupted. Why don't you replace it? You could do some things like that. But also when you're talking about like the scarcity of certain inputs, it ties back to our earlier conversation about certain geopolitical disruptions that may happen, the climate effects may happen, and you want to keep hold of that control over the inputs. This would empower extended producer responsibility to also bring those inputs back in so that the value of that asset stays in the company rather than just being lost in landfills or leaked into seas or whatever.
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing,
Yeah.
Christian. I mean, it's really amazing, and I really want to like just have your thoughts as well, because I know you mentioned in Europe it's very boxed in, it's very standardized. You're moving in that direction for digital passports,
Yeah.
but then there's of course the rest of the global markets as well, and there's this difference in business cultures and regulatory landscapes. So do you think it's likely to go in that direction where it will become more standardized across the world?
Yes, it definitely will. It's already happening. Yeah, so we have two seats in the standardization committees working on the DPP standards here in Europe. But we also we also had frequent meetings with the international ISO standardization organizations, including Asia and US and other regions, where standards are being harmonized globally, but also regionally. So standards are one thing, regulation is another, and but regulations and standards are supposed to go hand in hand in this situation. And of course, a lot is driven by regulation now in Europe, and the standards that are established here, they are supposed to mirror the regulation and helping companies to adapt to regulations in a way that is that is synchronized with the industry, and ISO and other international standardization initiatives and organizations are looking at this, are learning from this, are involved in the discussions, and are collaborating on this. So no, it's an interesting development. So yes, on the standardization side, I definitely think there will be global standards at some point. But regulations will be, we see markets that are deregulating right now strongly, like the US, for instance, and the EU is leading in over regulating everything. So there will be imbalances in regulation, and maybe that will even out over time as well. But that's how it is, for various reasons. It's not only about doing good or doing bad. It's like in Europe, there's also a need because of this fragmented market situation where with a lot of independent countries that are trying to collaborate in a in a regional perspective. These kind of initiatives help industries in this region to take a digital leap to become more competitive as a whole. So once that's happened, I think it will be less over-regulated and more business as usual as well.
Right. So what do you think will be coming next? If let's say you had a magic wand, what would you want most happen in the coming few years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about how technology and people's urge to really make impact can come together here. We can see how policy, how standards, how innovation and regional and global collaborations between different stakeholders can actually lead to lasting impact and really contribute to a better world, a more sustainable world, less greenhouse emissions, and less waste and less overheating. So it's like in order to get there, obviously we need to we need to embrace this this opportunity and I can see a lot of companies and a lot of people viewing regulations as a big headache, and compliance is always a headache. But if you look at the other side of the coin, with all the business opportunities, you can release a lot of energy. So we use, I mean, the name of our company is Lingon, and it comes from the Lingon berry, the small red berry that we have up here in the north. And I don't know if you've tasted the Lingon berry, but it's it's a sweet and sour taste of it, and the sour part is the compliance, and the sweet part is the uh, all the opportunities that are within here. So what I hope to happen is that people realize that doing this is actually good for business and good for society. So and that we can engage in a global responsibility chain.
Yeah, that's when you mentioned like lingonberries, I thought of meatballs for some reason. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the tie of association for me. And
Mm,
thanks so much for sharing your thoughts on that. I think that it's a very interesting time for our generation to exist, because
mm,
it almost feels like the perfect storm is come.
mm,
Both the physical pressures of a physical environment under stress, but
mm,
also you're starting to see a lot of litigation things also
mm,
pressing on
mm,
policy. So even though
mm,
policy or regulations
mm,
may need some time to keep up, we have also various quarters who are using litigation as a
mm,
tool to force
mm,
more change on. And that's quite interesting how when you see data as something that could empower or
mm,
disempower your business, it changes completely how your outlook could be like. And I really like this particular term in Mandarin, which is called Wei Ji.
Wavy.
Wei, it means threat. And then
Mm.
Z means opportunity. So when you're talking about the
Ah.
sweet and sour, I really was like, yeah, if there's no threat, there wouldn't be an opportunity to break through. And there's so many businesses actually waiting for some way to, break through, disrupt all these big players in the market. And this is the exact time that we have that right mix of technology and disruption for businesses to take that opportunity. So it really depends on whether you're have that foresight as a business owner to actually utilize these threats of compliance or the threats of data needs for your benefit to capture the opportunities moving ahead.
So instead of talking about the Lingon way going forward, I'm going to talk about the Lingon way Z. Yeah.
Right. Well, any case, I'm very thankful for the conversation that we've had so far.
Mm,
But
mm,
I do realize that I've missed a big elephant in the room, which is you mentioned right at the beginning that Lingon actually has decided to focus on the furniture sector. So
mm,
this basically ties back to the final few questions that I have for you, which is, who are you going to be looking for if somebody wanted to support Lingon in your journey? So maybe
mhm,
we start off first with that question: why the furniture sector is your focus, and then we
mhm.
can talk about like who is that you're looking for to support you in that journey. Yeah.
yeah, so the furniture sector is interesting because products they're important. Furniture play an important role in people's lives, and you have a special relationship with furniture. You use it every day, and and it usually lasts for a long time. So the impact potential is immense. That's one important, and the other thing is furniture involves many different materials. Is you have wood, you have textiles, you have metals, and even other materials can be used in furniture, and especially also in the lighting industry that we're also targeting. So that makes it an interesting challenge because by doing great things in the furniture industry, we will manage to master all these different complexities that can help us enter into other sectors as well. Then another aspect is that the furniture industry traditionally consists of many family-owned small businesses, artisan kind of businesses that are have a very low level of digitalization, and they need to take a digital leap. It's a big, digital transformation leap that needs to be taken in this industry to be able to manage in the future. I think we can help them. Only in the European market, there are 240,000 small and mid-sized companies that are involved in this industry that all need to take this step. And it's a great opportunity in there. And last but not least, the European Commission has pointed out a number of industries that will be affected by the new regulations in a certain order. And it will start with batteries, textiles, electronics, and furniture is, also coming very early in this process. So it's one of the prioritized industries, in this initiative from the European Commission. So we're not choosing an industry that will be affected much later. So so all this together makes it a very interesting target market for us.
Yeah, that's really interesting for you to share because as you mentioned, furniture accumulates so many different sectors. As you were talking about
Uh,
lighting and
uh, uh,
furniture having textiles and stuff, I just suddenly realized that, oh my gosh, even with just the things relating to chemical registrations or emissions registrations, by just dealing with furniture alone, you're actually touching into so many different sectors.
yeah.
And just managing that
Mm,
complexity,
mm,
especially with a community that is traditionally not really so involved in that digital world.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
it's a really like it's not an easy challenge to pick, but it's really
mm.
interesting one.
Yeah, it is, and I mean there is an openness, and because furniture sometimes needs to be assembled, so you need manuals for that. You need care instructions. Um, it's very spare part heavy and configurable, and it's also good objects for refurbishment purpose, like getting a new upholstery for your sofa. Uh, uh, People don't think about it. They tend to throw away old furniture, or maybe in best case they selling it on a second-hand market, but they don't get so much paid for it. Giving it a new upholstery can be like having a completely new sofa. So if and this is a great opportunity for these producers, because with this data, it's much higher margin for them to provide a new upholstery to an existing sofa than producing one from scratch. Um, so yeah, I mean it's really something that is we can see a lot of curiosity in the market, but also of course people are worried about all these changes that they have to do, and concerned about all the data they need to get from their suppliers and so on. But they also welcome it, and they are embracing this change. Most of the companies that we're meeting.
That's really inspiring to hear.
Mm.
So the last question, therefore, is if someone would like to support Lingon in your journey, who are you looking for? How can they support you?
Yeah, I mean, it's of course, if there's any producer out there who is curious to learn more, we're always happy to talk. And yeah, we're working, we're laser focused on the furniture and lighting industries, but we're also talking to other industries because there are similar challenges there. So on the long run, we definitely see that we will make a transition into other industries as well. So yeah, producers for sure, or companies that are in a supply chain. And we're also interested in talking to companies that are involved with go-to-market and spreading the word, and connecting to ecosystems of relevance. This is a pretty big undertaking, and it's not something that can be managed only by ourselves or so. It's collaborative effort. And last but not least, investors are always welcome to talk to us. We have as an ambition to take a dominance position to begin with on the European market, and like there are 240,000 companies that are waiting for us out there. And we have already established our brand in 13 countries. And it's a lot of preparation work. It needs a lot of perseverance to get there, because regulations, they will hit in 2027. So it's some time until then. But there are a lot of business opportunities already before that. But investors that are interested in exploring this opportunity and also expansion into Asia and so on are more than welcome to talk to us. We're in a capital raise process right now.
Right. Thanks very
Mm.
much for sharing that, Christian. Just wondering, the 13 countries that you have already established a brand is mainly in Europe at this point, or yeah,
Yeah,
okay, it's mainly in Europe.
but we were also a finalist in a global competition for sustainability on the blockchain in Singapore. So I mean, that's just one event, and it doesn't mean that we have any established presence in Asia. But we noticed a big interest and curiosity, a lot of curiosity in the Asian region for this, and also some concerns. But we can see there are a lot of initiatives, especially in some other sectors like food and yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. Definitely, as Asia it continues to play a manufacturing powerhouse for the global
Mm,
economy, I think
mm,
this would be a very interesting market. And from Circular Business Association, we're very happy to have had you on our podcast. And a big shout out to the producers in the furniture and lighting industry, as well as the go-to-market companies and the investors as key people that you guys would be looking for to support in your journey. Highly encourage any audience who has connections to those, please get in touch with us, and then we would love to support an initiative like this so that we can move faster towards solving the climate crisis and creating a livable world. With that, thank you very much, Christian, for spending your time with
Thank
us
you.
at Circular Insights. I would love to see you at another time. Wishing you all the best in your pursuits.
Likewise, Lijin, and thanks for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Uh,
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.